Hey, what's going on? Kenan here, and today on Kamp Kenan, we're going to talk about one of my favorite species of small tortoise, and that is the Hermanns tortoise. And if I'm not quick, they're going to bite my thumb to get at that cactus.
There are two things I've loved most in this life: bikes and reptiles. Now I crisscross the globe learning about all kinds of incredible animals. Sometimes I know what I'm doing. Other times I'm in over my head. But one thing's for certain: we'll come away a whole lot smarter after every adventure. This is Kamp Kenan.
So I get a lot of questions about the smaller species of tortoises. You know, your Russian tortoises, they're a popular pet. Marginated Greek tortoises. What I decided to do is we're going to focus on each species here at Kamp Kenan, and today it's going to be the Hermanns tortoise. Now I have 5, there's only 4 here munching down on some cactus, but they are definitely one of my favorite tortoise species to keep as pets, because for those of you living up north, this animal does not get big. Now I like them also because down here in Florida, once they're acclimated to our little bit more moist and humid climate, these animals can stay out all year round without any additional heat from me. Our winters aren't so harsh that they can't take the cold. Now they're originally found in the Mediterranean, in Europe, along the southern coast, you know, Spain, all the way up the south of France into Italy, the island of Corsica. There's a couple of different subspecies, but I'm actually going to be focusing on the most common, which is the eastern subspecies right here. They're a little bit more drab in color. They're not as vibrant as the western subspecies of Hermann tortoise, but what they lack in color, they make up for in personality. Now, first things first, I like to give the animals a nice spacious enclosure. You can see I've created some fake rock. They have a water source here, very important. Also, I've planted some things they like to eat, like the cactus. I've also done some hibiscus plants. These are strict vegetarians, and I also consider them basically a grassland species. Even though they're from that Mediterranean climate, they're going to eat a lot of weeds, they're going to eat a lot of succulents. They're not really eating a high variety of fruit. So it's going to be more a high fiber diet. If you're going to feed them some fruit, you can do that every once in a while. It's not going to hurt them. You just don't want to always be loading these guys up with fruit, because as we know, and I've talked in previous videos, you can change the environment of their intestines by adding too much acids, too much sugars, and that'll kill some of the beneficial bacteria that help break down the cellulose in the plant matter that they do eat. What I like to do is maybe feed them a little bit of watermelon once every couple of weeks, just to make sure they're getting some metabolic moisture in them. But again, we have a nice water dish here. It's very clean. I actually put it on a little timer with a irrigation line, so at least before I get in there and scrub it out, once every day it gets flushed out completely. Very important for tortoises to have nice water. You can see these guys are really just chowing down. So the things that you're really also going to need for these guys is a little hiding area. I have a nice cave here for them. I also have a lot of fountain grasses, a lot of shade, and sunny areas. These guys need it all to thermoregulate. Now this is an adult female, and these girls are just beautiful. Really friendly tortoise. I mean, this thing comes and chases me around whenever I walk down the path from my patio. They're always alert, they're always looking around, and I feel that's just the way this species is. But you also have to give them some environmental enrichment, and as I mentioned, I've created little ledges and rock walls here that they can climb over, and just make sure that they're not so steep that the animal will flip over in the sun and get himself fried by the good old sun. As you know, these guys are definitely ectothermic, so that means they need to regulate their body temperature like all other reptiles. But let's take a look here at some of the defining characteristics of the Hermanns tortoise. Now, some people confuse the Hermanns and Greek tortoise, but when you're looking at these guys, there are a couple of clear telltale signs to tell the difference. And one is the tail. All Hermanns tortoise have a nice little keratinous, it's made out of keratin, it's a little horn at the end of their tail, male or female. Sometimes these get nipped off, so you may not be able to tell if you have a wild-caught individual. But this one here, you can see just a little bitty horn there at the end of the tail. And then the other thing is on the thighs, the little heinies here, there are no spurs. Now the Greek is also called the spur thigh tortoise, the Greek spur thigh. And as you know, we also have the sulcata, or the African spur thigh. But with the Hermanns, there are no spurs, and they have a horn on their tail. So that's how you tell the difference. And I also think that these guys are a little bit more colorful than their Greek cousins, but they are closely related. Very small species, and this is also one of those tortoises that you find so often in the pet trade. Now, it's important to try and find captive bred babies, as you know. These guys are farmed in Europe, and they are also collected from the wild. And as we've seen in so many other species, that can be very problematic for you as a keeper, because once these animals get to the United States, they've been in just a degraded state for so long that they just don't acclimate and thrive well. It's very important. So if you live somewhere, say like Florida, like I do, and you get some wild-caught animals, and you want to get them outside, it's very important that you start to do this slowly, because these guys do like a drier climate, and as you know, on the East Coast of the United States, in the summer, whether you're in Florida or all the way up to Maine, it's pretty humid out here. So you got to make sure that when you put them out, that these guys are done in little phases, so you don't overdo it and they don't develop a respiratory problem. But once they acclimate, man, these are some tough, beautiful tortoises to work with. I love getting them outdoors because they really do appreciate it. I have 5 here. These 3 were imported, and these 3 were confiscated from an illegal importation, and they were also kept in suboptimal conditions. You can see they're just got some strange pyramiding going on here, and this little gal right here, she's a little bit stumpy. Really beautiful tortoise though. She's just like, put me back so I can continue to eat, which I'll do. But one thing first, you know, when looking at the Eastern variety as opposed to the Western variety, which I don't have here, you'll notice the Western variety is more colorful. They have a sleeker head as opposed to the more blocky head of this Eastern variety of Hermanns Tortoise. And so that's just a couple ways you can tell the difference. Also, these guys have a more flared out rear end as adults. This is a male, and this is really pronounced. The Western variety is going to have a more oval shape, and that's how you'd tell the difference between the 2 different subspecies of the Hermanns Tortoise. But overall, a fantastic species for you to get involved with. They're a little bit more expensive as captive raised babies. You're looking at about $150 to $200 to get a baby. And before we leave, I'm gonna go get a baby so you guys can just see what these amazing animals produce. See you later. So as always, here's the reward of providing your animals with a clean, nice, and rich environment for them to live in. You get some babies. Baby Hermanns Tortoise. So excited. Hey guys, don't forget to subscribe down below, and you can always visit me on Instagram and Facebook at Kamp Kenan. We'll see you soon.